On this episode of MythBusters,
Come on.
the team take on Hollywood in the myth of the life raft parachute. The build team lose their heads over hair care as they test the explosive properties of hair cream.
Hold up, babe.
And at the boneyard, the boys are having fun.
It just occurred to me what I'm doing today. Cutting up a plane.
For a tall tale of fuselage freefall, where Buster discovers velocity can be terminal.
Oh my God.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
and Jamie Heineman.
We're either going to die or we're going to fly.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That was intense.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
So, we're back at one of our favorite locations to shoot at, Jamie. What are we doing here this time?
Well, I'm not sure what you're doing here. Why don't you take that off before you pass out? This is yet another interesting Hollywood approach to physics, and it involves surviving a fall from an aircraft by using an escape slide or a life raft as a parachute.
You know how to fly, don't you?
No.
Everyone's favorite archaeologist shows us how it's done. With a physics-defying, save-the-day Hollywood leap of faith, followed by an unlikely landing. So, is it Hollywood hocus pocus, or can it be done in the real world? For answers, the team have come once again to the Mojave Desert Boneyard, aka myth-busting heaven,
That was cool!
where old airliners go to die.
So, what is our plan? Where do we begin?
Well, obviously we have to find an escape slide and a life raft, and we're going to attach Buster to them and haul him up in the air in a helicopter. At that point, we'll drop him and compare the speed that he falls at with what he would fall if he wasn't attached to anything.
And maybe it'll be a survivable speed.
Well, one can only hope.
In order to simulate a fall from an aircraft, the team need only drop Buster from 2,000 feet, because an average person will reach their terminal or maximum velocity in the first 14 seconds of a free fall. So, no point going any higher because he won't hit the ground any harder. Grant is given the task of preparing Buster for his aerial raft ride. The pre-flight rig is all about information. To crack this myth, the team will need to know exactly how fast the fall, and more importantly, how hard the landing.
In order to determine if Buster has survived any of these falls, we've got a variety of meters. And we've got the accelerometer in the head. We've got a velocity meter that's actually used by the special forces that senses changes in air pressure to tell you what the velocity is. We've got frangible bones that we know will break according to human bones. We've got our shock meters that will tell us by visual indication if we've exceeded certain G-forces.
And there's always the trusty radar gun that Grant will use to manually track Buster to the ground. Plus, it's cool. And speaking of toys, Christmas has just come early for Adam.
I'm just about to do something that I have always wanted to do, which is to pull the quick release on an inflatable life raft.
Back at base, Carrie has found an explosive myth on the Discovery fan site.
It seems in the 1950s, the Canadian Air Force had a series of freak accidents with their fighter planes.
One application makes your hair look excitingly clean.
Supposedly, the pilots were decapitated by an explosion before the planes even hit the ground.
This man applied twice. Now he's in trouble.
It seems that a combination of hair cream, an oxygen-rich environment, and a spark from the communication system might have made the head explode into flames.
We refuse to be responsible.
So, could our dapper Canadian's hair care regime, pure oxygen to his face mask, and a simple communications short circuit in his F-104 Starfighter really lead to a mind-blowing flight?
Since we know that oxygen can cause a very aggressive fire or even an explosion given the right fuels, it seems to me that the heart of this myth is whether hair cream and hair are one of those explosive fuels. And so we need to maybe start out with a scale miniature of this and see what happens with that before we start to deal with massive quantities of hair cream and potentially all, die.
Dying would be bad. To avoid it, the build team rigs an explosion chamber in which they'll carry out their flammability tests. Test 1. In an oxygen-rich environment, will a short-circuit spark ignite hair without hair cream?
Control test in 3, 2, 1. Fizzled out. Okay, no result with spark only.
Test 2. Under the same conditions, will hair rubbed with hair cream go up in flames?
Go.
Fireball! It's sparking. Look at the sparking.
Wow. And it's traveling up.
Oh, dear.
With full marks in the bench tests, there was even time for a little extracurricular fun
1.
with some old-school hairspray. Please read the label, as hairspray is flammable. Leave endangering yourself and your hair to the MythBusters.
Sounds like all you need to do now is bump it to the full scale to see if you can get a full-scale explosion and/or a decapitation.
Yeah, you need to recreate the conditions in a fighter cockpit, I guess, at altitude.
To recreate cabin conditions, Tori tackles the question of cockpit volume.
Math stuff's hard.
For help, he visits the Hiller Aviation Museum, where he finds a model of a US A4. The A4 has an almost identical cockpit setup to the Canadian starfighter of this myth.
Probably a lot easier to measure from the outside, but it's a lot funner to measure from the inside.
Tori has all the data he needs, now to work out how to build his own fighter from junk lying around the yard.
I think I found my cockpit.
The Sharamar. One previous conviction, last seen on Shark Week in a ram raid. While Tori is cutting out the canopy of the cockpit, the rest of the team get busy turning this shark into a jet. Grant focuses on recreating cabin conditions of an F-104 at 30,000 feet. He rigs inlets for oxygen to the pilot and regular air to pressurize the vessel to 5 psi. Using real hair from the local barbershop, Carrie makes some toupees for the Canadian pilot Flambe.
Hey, if myth busting doesn't work out for you, you could go into the toupee making business.
And you can't have decapitation without a head.
Kiss me. Kiss me.
This is the helmet they would have worn in a F-104 starfighter.
Oh,
Woo, look at that! Look at the eagle. That is badass.
that is so hot.
The working face mask and helmet gives this myth the seal of authenticity.
Tiny-headed Canadians.
Plus, Adam will have to try it on, and there'll be an all too brief moment of silence.
Okay. I can't move my face.
This right here would have been the pilot's microphone.
Grant believes the most likely ignition source was a short circuit from the 24-volt intercom. So he rigs his ignition system from the small-scale tests to the face mask. And Plan B is the trusty model rocket igniter.
You got it.
Backup headgear will be this full-faced Russian MiG helmet. First, they'll check the airtight neck seal.
Oh my God!
Yep, that works.
All right, you ready for takeoff?
Now, to get it off.
I'm gonna hit your face.
No problem, bro. That was easy. That sucked!
In the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones, with desperate ingenuity that wouldn't look out of place in an episode of MythBusters, uses a life raft as a parachute. To test this Hollywood stunt, evacuation equipment is at the top of the shopping list. And for that, expert Rick Dixon is the man. although his prediction for the upcoming raft ride is probably best kept from Buster.
I think Buster's going to have a real bad fall on this thing. I think it's going to flop down like a nickel twirling.
Oh, like it's going to tumble?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that would be bad.
There are 2 major pieces of evacuation equipment, so 2 drops are planned. Drop 2, and Buster will be hanging from an escape slide. Drop 1, and he'll be doing his best Indiana Jones impression by attempting a life raft ride to Earth. With this surplus raft ready to go, Danny talks the boys through the inflation.
So that's it.
Well, that's your raft.
That's our raft. How big is this thing going to be?
Well, it's a 46-person raft. It's going to
46 person.
It's a 46-person. It'll probably be about 25 feet in diameter.
So is this the thing you yank on here? Right?
Well, that's
With premature inflation gags like that, Jamie's position as safety officer could be under review.
Can I stand on top of it when it goes?
Yeah, you can.
But then the alternative is Adam.
Pull the string! Pull the string!
It's got a manual!
That's amazing.
Okay, so Buster has his ride, but how's he going to hang on?
I say we stick Buster right here and
just
diaper him in.
Sure.
Just tie him right in. There's nothing else we need to do. Rig up some lines to the, the corners of this thing.
He's sitting right next to the raft manual. He can read it on the way down.
Next, the survival kit. But it's past its sell-by date, and the dye marker is already deployed.
This is not as thrilling as I had hoped. We got bandages and first aid.
Coffee flavor stimulant. I'm gonna eat as many of these as I can get.
Look at that. Can we set this up?
It's kind of like Christmas.
Oh!
And it's green liquid. It seems to be made of alien blood. Why did green liquid come out? Did you just drink that?
That's the dye.
This looks like a bad episode of ER here. We've just performed an emergency cesarean.
Got any more of those coffee tablets?
All of a sudden I'm gonna be addicted to these. I think I'm just gonna give me another one, man.
There we go. Buster's going to be smack in the center of this raft, which is exactly the way we've seen it in the movies. And he's sort of riding it down just like you would normally ride in the raft.
And in the yellow corner, Indiana Buster. It's time for round 1.
This is one of those myths I have no idea what's going to happen. Really. I mean, it may turn out that he stays totally stable. And floats all the way to the ground and is cushioned in his fall, and like it's a totally reasonable way to go. More likely, though, is that he spins like a coin on the way down and lands in a total horror show.
With Adam set for his Virgin chopper ride, the Big Dog, or Sikorsky S-58, fires up. The raft is attached, and stage 1 is complete. Stage 2, with Raft and Buster heading for the drop height of 2,000 feet, everything is looking good. But then, disaster. At only 400 feet, the rigging gives way, shortly followed by Buster.
Did you see the explosion? It was like a splash of water.
Small crash test dummies, friends and family of Buster, may find the following pictures disturbing.
Oh! Oh! That's part of his skull. And snapped his spine. Where's the black box? Oh, here. That's the head accelerometer.
Which is toast.
Toast.
How bad is it?
real bad.
Oh my God.
Adam arrives, and he's in a genuine state of shock.
Oh
Sorry,
my God. Oh, criminy.
Criminy? So shocked he makes up a new word.
Buster is a pile of scrap. I'm thinking of calling the local fire department to find out if they have any simulaids.
With carnage worthy of the bloodiest Hollywood blockbuster, this myth has to be in doubt. Despite what appeared to be a secure rig, Buster couldn't hold on.
Guys, this gives you an idea how severe that impact was. Even the silicone is ruined.
Wow.
Along with all the instrumentation. With Buster's aluminum head in 1,000 pieces, the accelerometer inside was completely destroyed.
It speaks volumes about how non-survivable even a few 100-foot drop is.
The ropes that we used to tie this thing together, including the tie points that we tied to, ripped. There just were a number of rips, and these are things that are probably have a load rating of, you know, several hundred pounds each one, and we had half a dozen lines tied in various places.
Meanwhile, in surgery,
turns out that he broke every bone in his body. Yep. This is without a doubt the worst damage Buster has ever sustained.
Round 2. And Jamie doesn't want another rigging failure.
This time we have some big hauling straps. So we've got 2 straps that are not going to break, basically. They could pick up the whole aircraft.
Dr. Savage and his team have achieved an engineering miracle and resurrected a shattered Buster. They've replaced all his bones, given him a new set of shock watches, and transplanted his head with a new accelerometer.
I think I'm gonna break some environmental laws when I shower tonight.
Bye, Buster.
Good to go, over. Buster appears to be detached, but he's still in the raft, over. Copy that. 2,000. They're at 2,000. Okay, whenever you're over the target, over. Guys, get ready. They're about ready to drop, over. Go ahead and drop on your mark, over. Drifting back towards us. Let's get near the truck. And we should be really, guys, let's, he's going to release right now, so you need to aim it right where it's going to go. It's going down, guys. Take cover.
Oh, no. He flipped over.
Like Adam predicted, the raft has flipped like a coin, and Buster has a premature ejection problem.
The raft clocked in at 22 miles per hour. Buster, on the other hand, clocked in at 154.
After 2 failed drops, they have some useful information. The myth depends on the comparative fall speeds of Buster with and without a makeshift parachute. Now the team knows how fast he falls on his own.
Looks like we found everything but the hand in the black box.
That is affirmative. We have a whole forearm and a hand over here on the raft, over.
The same or worse?
Actually, not as bad as last time.
I think it's clear that the raft actually would have slowed him down a great deal. You know, the raft came down just beautifully by itself, like a parachute.
And typically, parachutists land safely at 14 miles per hour.
I think it's worth pursuing this again because that raft is really just like a parachute. That's the way it looked on the last fall, even though Buster wasn't attached to it. So this time we're going to actually try and make it behave like a parachute, and we're going to tie Buster onto the underside of it and see what it does.
Back at the shop, the build team are asking, could a dapper pilot's hair cream explode when exposed to oxygen and a spark? To test this combustible myth, the team has built a pressure vessel the same volume as an F-104 cockpit. And with the hard work already done, Adam arrives.
That thing is magnificent.
Do you feel like you're in Canada? Would you like to meet the pilot?
Yes, by all means.
It's you!
Oh my God.
And this is hair from 70 guys?
Hold up, babes.
While Adam enjoys a full head of hair, Tori gets to work sealing the open end of the cockpit. With only the canopy to be sealed, the team run through the test protocol.
Test number 1, the conditions are using our equivalent cubic footage cockpit here.
Pure O2 going into the face mask.
I'm very excited about this experiment.
We're going to pressurize the cockpit up to a correct pressure of 5 psi.
Whenever we're doing an experiment with fire and explosive elements, I love it.
And the rest of the cabin is going to be pressurized with regular air.
What I am concerned about is I've been given the job to extinguish fires, and I'm just trying to figure out like whose idea that was.
Grant takes care of the oxygen supply to the face mask and the ignition system to simulate an intercom short circuit, while Carrie goes heavy on the hair cream.
A little more. He could be a greaser. All right, seal her up, boys.
I need a pair of vice grips.
Ignoring the potential hazards of dealing with a pressure vessel, the team take off on test 1.
It's probably coming out of all the screw holes. Well, we're going up 1.5 pounds.
Should we maybe be getting away from this thing?
No, okay. Well, I like danger.
I can definitely hear it coming out of there.
We're almost 3.5.
Can you start the O2?
Should we maybe get behind the blast shields, or does it matter?
Well, it is a pressure vessel. I mean, given the surface area, there might be, I don't know, 1,000 pounds pushing out on it at 5 psi. Okay. Same thing with that back there. I would say everybody walk around that side, the welded side. Yeah, don't.
Oh, that side.
See, whoa, dude, you barely missed disaster.
Wow.
With that potential for explosive decompression, this test, its safety protocol, and whether it goes ahead will have to be reviewed.
Well, we got an explosion. This was not the explosion we were looking for, but we got one.
In the Myth Life Raft Parachute, Buster found out how terminal velocity can be.
We have a whole forearm and a hand over here on the raft, over.
But on the operating table, Adam and Grant resurrect Buster from his fatal fall. Round 3. And with Buster having failed to ride the raft like Indiana Jones, Jamie rigs it as a parachute.
Just gonna give a little extra and lace him a couple places. I'm tired of Buster taking off on me.
Famous last words.
Looking good so far, Steve.
He is taking his time so he doesn't rip the thing. He's gonna favor the upwind side of the X a little bit, over. You guys make sure you can get under that truck in a hurry, over. Okay, Steve, I'd say go ahead and release at will. You look good, over. Okay, he's releasing, guys.
It's going.
It's going.
Oh, it's beautiful!
Be careful before you speak too soon.
Look at that! Woo!
It's not over yet.
I know! Come on, Buster!
Look at those little entry ramps are like wings, you know?
Oh, that's great!
Buster's on the ground. Buster's on the ground.
Well, that looked like a much nicer ride. I'll hazard a guess that Buster may well be intact this time entirely.
But appearances can be deceptive. Buster has once again sustained some severe damage. But would he have survived?
All the 50G shock watches broke on all of his limbs, but in his chest, the 75 and the 100 did not get tripped.
So that means that he got all busted up. He would not be a happy camper, but he might just be alive.
If you could have leaped out of the airplane with this raft, inflated it in midair, rigged 4 points to it so you could hang from it like a parachute, you might, just might survive. But all the other aspects of this are so unrealistic. The odds of you being able to achieve this rig while falling out of a plane are so unlikely as to be almost ludicrous.
This myth has a busted look about it. But the boys decide to give it another go. Next, they'll test Buster on the escape slide.
How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great, Jamie. I'm not doing a hell of a lot for the cause, but you know, I look good, and that's really important.
Hey, so this is what it's like to be in one of those parades, right?
With the first exploding hair cream test ending in near disaster, the team calls for a supervising adult.
Barely missed disaster!
At MythBusters, this could only mean one thing: Jamie.
My impression at this point is it's anybody's guess whether this is going to continue to happen. If I were to bet on it, I'd say we're going to continue to have either leaks or further explosions with this.
Jamie lays down the law and the team gets busy. Tori replugs the blown cockpit, and all systems and triggers are extended, including the fire extinguisher that will inject CO2, quelling any cockpit fires.
I'm Adam's tape, bitch.
I don't need any more, bitch.
Is it all together? Looks good.
Oh, that's very nice. How come Jamie gets top billing? What the hell is that?
With Adam speaking to the producer about a bigger trailer, preparations are complete. Time for test 1, take 2.
So I'm starting to pressurize.
With the pressure gauge having to remain in the no-go zone,
1/4 PSI.
Adam uses the scope from the shop gun to keep his eyes at a safe distance.
We've got a major leak somewhere.
The air's still flowing, Adam. Can you hear past the earplugs?
What's that?
Can you hear past the earplugs?
No, of course not.
Well, the air is off.
Blissfully unaware of Jamie's instructions, Adam tracks down the leaks, and with his trusty screw gun, nails them.
Still climbing.
It's going up quicker.
Coming up on 4. You're at 5.
Okay, Carrie, start air oxygen flow.
Initiating oxygen.
5, 4.
After 5 minutes of oxygen to the mask, Grant is ready to short-circuit our pilot's hair cream cocktail.
5 minutes of oxygen flow, go ahead and spark.
This will be an electrical spark, our primary ignition. Stand by. Sparking in 3, 2, 1, spark!
Is that the sound of a busted myth? With no ignition from the short circuit, time for backup.
This is the model rocket igniter. In 3, 2, 1.
Big old nada. Woo! That was thrilling.
Smoke coming out of the mask.
Kill the O2.
O2's off.
Depressurizing.
The CO2 from Tori's fire extinguisher has unexpectedly doubled the cockpit pressure to a dangerous level.
Stay behind the barrier. Pressure's dropping to 9.5.
I feel like I'm on a submarine.
This is frightening.
We're at 1,600 feet and dropping, Captain. That was exciting.
In a life-threatening sort of way.
That's amazing. We got a result out of that. I'm totally impressed.
To be honest, I didn't think anything was going to happen. I'm really excited that we got a fire. And then when I hit the CO2 to put out the fire, the pressure built and we started, leaking air in it. The PSI of the whole thing went up to like 10 PSI. So that was a little exciting. No explosion though.
No explosion, but under accurate cockpit conditions, the MythBusters did get our pilot hot under the helmet. It seems this myth could be plausible.
I've got gloves on. Let me grab his, just in case it's hot. Look at his face.
Whoa.
Now. Oh!
Well, that's going to cause a bit of a problem.
It melted his lips and nose off.
Oh my God.
When that happens.
This is what's left of the O2 system.
Dude, there's been a bunch of cases that involve elements close to this myth. In the early 90s, a pilot getting into his jet on an aircraft carrier put on his oxygen mask and apparently his hair cream reacted with the oxygen, blew his helmet off of his head, and gave him third-degree burns.
The most famous one of them all, of course, was the Apollo 1 incident.
Apollo astronauts Roger Chaffee, Edward White, and Gus Grissom lose their lives in a tragic flash fire aboard their grounded space capsule.
Faulty wiring and a pure oxygen environment caused a flash fire. And unfortunately, due to the fact that the cabin was pressurized and the door opened inward, the astronauts were unable to escape.
Come on!
Round 4. Adam's opponent and Buster's new ride is a DC-10 escape slide.
That's the coolest thing ever!
Adam celebrates with more coffee tablets. And like Tigger, he does his best thinking while bouncing.
All right, so we got to figure out where to put Buster in here.
They decide on a rig with a view.
He'll be like this. Oh my God! Like that.
Okay.
After 3 drops with the life raft and a better understanding of the forces at work, Jamie and Adam make short work of the escape slide rig.
Chopper ready to go?
Buster, you are cleared for takeoff.
We should all be clear, and be aware the wind's blowing this thing this way once it starts to do liftoff. Wind's increasing, so you guys be ready to duck and cover.
Feet.
Okay, he said 2,000 feet, guys, so be ready. The drop will come anytime now.
Anytime you're ready, Steve.
And the drop has happened.
Oh, look, it's sailing.
Wow.
So far. I bet it flipped, so it's looking like it's wanting to.
Whoa.
Tell the guys to watch out.
Watch yourselves, guys. Wow!
Certainly not going well. I thought it was going to go, Kelly.
That is incredible.
Oh, damn.
What?
It just looks like it wants to flip so bad anytime now.
I know.
Oh!
Wow!
Appears to be okay.
I reckon I might almost be willing to take that ride. That looked incredibly gentle.
I got a peak of 42. It's rocking back and forth.
Yeah?
Mostly about in the 20 range.
Once again, Grant's reliable radar gun was the only device to measure Buster's final velocity. But it's crunch time. Is there any life in this Hollywood myth?
Good. Let me
I don't see any damage at all.
In fact, not a single bone is broken.
Let's see his chest.
Nope, it's clean.
He's clean.
And the 50, 75, and 100 G shock watches all remain intact.
Well, it looks like Buster survived, so I'll be darned. But, that looked really sweet. It looked like it would have been a lot of fun.
Dude, it looked like it would be also the most terrifying ride in the world. You're like, oh my God, it's okay, I'm okay. Oh, no.
With Buster in good health, it seems this fall was easily survivable. The slide not only slowed his fall, but also acted as a giant airbag on landing.
It surprised the heck out of me with all the difficulty that we had earlier, but it worked like a charm. And, outside of the obvious thing that we keep going against with this myth, that you'll never get into one of these while an aircraft is going for 100 miles an hour or whatever. But if you did, that would be the way to do it.
So what do you think of those results?
Well, that was a lot of fun. In spite of what we thought, actually the life raft and the slide significantly reduced Buster's velocity.
But you're not going to get that door open that's got the slide in it. The second you inflate it, it's going to rip right off the plane. If you inflate the raft inside the plane, there's no way you're getting it out the door. I mean, it's just every aspect of it, it's busted.
Okay, it's busted.
At the shop, Team Hair Cream gave their pilot, wearing an authentic F-104 helmet, a headache.
Well, that's going to cause a bit of a problem.
But the myth specified explosive decapitation. So they reset, and Carrie, attempting to further fuel the hair cream cocktail, adds Jamie's facial hair to Adam's toupee.
Is that the real hair from the dudes?
Yeah, you've got dude's hair,
You know, Grant,
His long-lost son that he had during the time in Korea. His long-lost son shows up at the front door.
For this test, the team go for the airtight MiG helmet. The theory is that the neck seal will contain the oxygen and create a bigger bang.
Yeah, we're not going to pressurize it this time because the helmet's sealed.
First one is going to be the wire short on the camera side, right where the mustache is. Go.
I think it's gonna do it. I'm seeing a little smoke and it's blowing up! He's on fire!
No wonder Carrie is excited. This test supports a key element of the myth.
The oxygen, Carrie.
Ignition came from a simple 24-volt short-circuit spark.
Dude, that was a hell of a result.
That was.
Wow.
That was like boom, and I saw the whole thing lift up. This reminds me of Jamie after his bachelor party.
But although the team frazzled the Canadian's follicles, he kept his head.
The time now is to go for the big explosion. So we are going to use only hair care products to attempt to fuel this explosion. And since a lot of hair care products have propellants and solvents and evaporants in them that are themselves flammable or even petroleum-based, I think we're actually going to get quite a big boom.
Please, whatever you do, do not attempt an explosive decapitation with hair care products at home.
Let's get it on!
You guys ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
In 3, 2, 1!
Okay, nothing's happening.
Okay, backup igniter.
Wow. I'm going to loosen my sphincter, okay?
3, 2, 1!
Oh, yeah, it goes.
Oh.
That was awesome!
Finally, it
Oh, that was quite satisfying.
Well, you guys did some good work on this myth. I really think it's solid. What conclusions do you come to?
Well, amazingly, part of this myth was plausible. Hair cream in an oxygen-rich environment, just like you'd find in a cockpit, and spark caused fire. Not just fire, but aggressive fire.
But by the strict definition of this myth, which is explosion and decapitation, we did not by any means achieve that. So I'm calling it busted.
I would say, like every myth we do, there's an element of truth to it, but it didn't meet the circumstances. It's busted.
Busted.
Oh my God, this is okay.
With the myth of the Hollywood life raft parachute busted, Adam and Jamie look into another aviation tall tale. The longest reported survived fall without a parachute.
The story goes that a flight attendant was on a plane in which a bomb went off, and she survived the fall from 33,000 feet without a parachute. They found her on the ground still strapped into her flight attendant's seat in the wreckage of the rear of the plane.
On the 26th of January, 1972, Flight 364 to Zagreb exploded 33,000 feet over the present-day Czech Republic. All the passengers perished, either in the blast or on impact with the ground. But reportedly, there was one survivor, flight attendant Vesna Vulovic.
Well, what's our plan? How are we going to pull this one off?
Well, look around, man. There's nothing but junk planes around here. I figure all we got to do is cut the tail section off one of these planes, strap Buster right into the flight attendant's seat, and drop it from the same height as we're dropping the raft.
To get started, the team used their only major clue. Vesna Vulovic was found strapped into the flight attendant's seat at the rear of the DC-9. And to test Buster falling in a wrecked plane, first job, wrecking a plane.
There's her stewardess seat. That's terrific.
The only issue now is a weight problem. With 3,500 pounds the limit, this plane is going on a diet.
Well, shall we back the truck up and start cutting?
Might as well get into
I
it.
think we know where our cut is, so let's just cut it, weigh it, and see where we stand.
All right, choose your weapon.
A crowbar, $20. A screw gun, $150. An abrasive circular saw, $200. All day to play cutting up a plane in the Mojave Desert boneyard, priceless.
They're just marvels of engineering, and we got to see what somebody's done to build them.
Look at all this crap. It's like they didn't want these things to fall apart. That seems to be it for the outer shell.
Next, you're going to see us drag this thing free of its mother's body. Then we're going to hoist it up on a couple of chains in the scale and see how much it weighs. My guess for the weight of this thing is roughly 3,600 pounds. I think we're going to be a little bit over, but not much.
Good guess, Adam. But as our crane operator hauls our hunk of fuselage onto the scales, the news is clap.
This section of the plane, as it is now, weighs about 6,000 pounds, which is about a third more than what we can handle on the chopper. So we've actually got a lot more work to do.
It's time for a crash diet. Adam gets stuck in, removing as much excess baggage as he can get his hands on, while Jamie gets the crappy jobs.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
I brought you a present.
Wow.
They've removed all the crap, but still need to lighten the load substantially. Time for another cut.
Come on! Yeah! Is there any better way to end the day? Come on, baby! Yeah!
The fuselage is free, but has the Heinemann diet been savage enough?
Spot on, 3,500.
It's beautiful.
Well, our researchers have been unable to find a single instance where somebody has either tried to or been successful with surviving a fall from an aircraft in a life raft or a slide.
Yeah, but in the history of aviation, there have been an amazing number of what we would call wreckage riders, people who have survived from those heights in the wreckage of the crafts that they were flying in. In increasing order of altitude, we'll start in January 1945. A B-17 bomber pilot survived a fall from 27,000 feet in the wreckage of his plane.
And also in 1945, and also from a B-17, a tail gunner survived a fall from 28,000 feet, only to be captured and taken prisoner.
That's gotta suck.
He was totally unhurt, though.
And most recently, Steve Fawcett actually survived a fall from 29,000 feet in the wreckage of the balloon he was using to circumnavigate the globe. He estimates that when he finally hit, he was only traveling at about 40 to 45 miles per hour.
Buster's ride awaits. With the fuselage at fighting weight, it's time for the main event.
This is the main event. We've all been waiting all day long.
There are three ways in which this piece of aircraft could actually save Buster's life by him being inside of it. One is that its surface area could slow his descent enough to be survivable.
I think it's going to be total devastation.
A second one is that it could actually crumple and absorb a lot of the impact before that impact reaches Buster.
When it hits the ground, it's going to be a pancake.
And the third is, by being properly strapped in, he's not being whipped around by the impact, but being held tight so those G-forces aren't transferred secondarily to him thrashing around and taking a major head trauma. How many of those are going to come into play on this drop? I have no idea. It all really depends on which way it falls.
In the story of the free fall flight attendant, the survivor was found strapped into her seat in the grounded wreckage.
There's no way he's gonna fit in here.
But Buster is a little larger than most female flight attendants.
Bye, Buster.
Nice knowing you, buddy.
I'm going to be probably right near where it was when it took off, because it's going ways away. And you know, the biggest worry that I have currently is the takeoff itself, because I've got to be near it when it comes up. And so far, every one of these runs I've done, I'm looking at this thing directly over my head as it's going up, and I'm trying to find some place to run to get out of that way, but it seems like it's following me.
As the fuselage gets airborne, Jamie's fears become reality. The chopper struggles getting to its drop height, circling above the team as it climbs. For a brief and frightening minute, there is radio silence as everyone dives for cover.
I thought he was going to go straight up, but they were right over top of us with 3,500 pounds of stuff. You know, and we're backed up against a fence here, so it's kind of upsetting. And in fact, it's looking like he might be coming this way again, so I'd recommend that you guys get over here as well.
But 2,000 feet is eventually reached, and the drop is nothing short of spectacular. As the old saying goes, it's not the fall that'll kill you, it's the landing.
When it hit, it was like, you know, we saw this smack and then felt that. Woo.
Yeah. Wow.
That was a bang.
I hope we don't have to do too much cutting to get Buster out of this thing.
With his radar gun, Grant clocked the fuselage at 96 miles per hour. At that speed, could our wreckage rider have survived?
Dude, it is totally inverted.
In the original myth, our flight attendant had severe injuries but lived. Is Buster once again busted? Is the myth?
Can't get there yet.
We're not leaving here without Buster, man. Leave no crash test dummy behind.
Main thing I remember about that drop was trying to run to get out from under the darn thing. The more I do this show, you know, if I feel like running, I'm gonna run. And that was one of those cases.
Buster has assumed the fetal position. Dude, you should have been in the brace position.
It's like a Christmas tree of carnage.
When the fuselage hit the ground, it crushed, and it made like a popping sound, like a car crash. It just, you know, and it just crushed. I thought maybe it would explode, but crumple.
I think given the aspects of falling in wreckage that we assumed might be able to save his life, slowing down your descent is not one of them, because a 30% decrease in terminal velocity still has you falling at about 90 to 100 miles per hour, which is pretty lethal.
Okay, is that it?
Wow, we further broke the foot. I didn't think we could break this anymore, but apparently we were able to.
When I look at this wreckage, and I think about the stewardess who survived in the tail of the plane, I think, well, I look at the cargo hold, which is upside down, and the top of this wreckage, and it actually looks not that distended. If Buster had fallen correctly, if he had fallen upright, he might have actually survived.
It's all about the details, the exact circumstances, you know, what exactly was the section of the tail end of the plane that she was in. How fast are you going in the airplane when you're trying to escape from it with a life raft or whatever. I mean, all those details mean the difference between success or failure.
Enough with the details. What's the verdict?
Given that we know that the stewardess that survived in the tail section of the plane is true, and that humans have survived some fairly remarkable falls, I would say this one is entirely plausible. It's not the preferred method for getting out of an airplane.
But it is plausible.
It is plausible that it's survivable. Do we all have a moment of silence for Buster and his work for the cause?
Thanks, buddy.
Jamie won't, because he thinks it's stupid.